Blue Water CRM, cloud-based CRM software specifically designed for collection agencies, debt buyers, and sellers. Let's log in. As you can see, we are logged in as a manager, super user, or supervisor. And in this video, we are going to talk about client access. So let's scroll down here. Let's click on our client and buyers link, and let's click on clients. So clients, the clients link shows you all the clients that are in the system, and this is described in more depth in our client and buyer video where you can see actually how to set this up. But for the purpose of this, I just wanted to draw your attention to one of the clients. So let's go to the first client right here, client 16788. We're going to click on edit, and there are three things that clients need to access to the system. So they need a client ID, which you can see here. They need a username and a password. Now, for the purposes of the demo, I use the same thing. That just makes it easier. But these three fields they need to actually log into the system. So these must be set up in order for them to get access. Now, by simply leaving the username or password blank, that will obviously log them out. They won't be able to get in, but they need those three values to get into the system. Okay, what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to log out. So now I've logged out as the manager. And what I'm going to do now is I am going to bring you to a different screen. Okay, so now we're at the client portal screen, and you can see that there's three IDs, user ID, password, and client, very much like I showed you on the last page. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to plug in our username, our password, and our client ID. Remember, without these three items, you can't get into the system. I'm going to click login. You can see we are logged in as a client. One of the things you'll notice right away is that this screen looks very similar to the screen for a manager or a supervisor. Try to keep everything the same so that if you have to walk your client through something, you'll be very familiar with the links. So here you have the basic search for a debtor. Now this client will be able to only search for their particular debtors. You can see there isn't as many choices because they don't need it, but they can search on any number of different things based on accounts that are in the system. On the left-hand side, we can see that this is client 16788, the same number that we had set up before. You can see it's a purchase client, or then that's the name we use for this, Biscayne Drive, Miami, Florida. Here's the phone number, here's the email address, and then we have a bunch of links below it. So if I go to client, I click client, and I can see collections by client, collections that have been paid, collections unpaid, and post-client payments. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to run a collections report. Just so you can see what the report looks like. And we have right here, very simple, the account number, last four of the social, principal, interest, attorney fee, anything in the system's been paid, the payment type, is it paid off or not, what's the contingency fee, what's the principal balance, the current balance, and what's the agency's revenue. So when the client logs in, they can get access to all of these items. When you scroll down, if they wanted to, they could actually export this to a particular client, to an Excel or a CSV file. The system will allow you to do that. I can also see all the collections that have been paid, meaning that have been paid to the client. And then I can see ones that are unpaid. Okay, I'm going to click on unpaid. And unpaid is the accounts that have not been paid to the client. So let's just run a quick search here. Click search data. And you can see I get a return. Now this looks very similar to the collections by client, but you will see an area to the right, meaning paid or not. If I click on paid and hit submit, this will then become paid, meaning that the client is confirming that they got this paid. This is an accounting system for them. They can see the items that they've got paid on, and then they can see which ones are outstanding. So if they wanted to call you and say, hey, listen, I noticed I haven't received the payment for $31.12. Can you tell me where that payment is? And once they get it, they can come in here, check that off and hit submit, and it'll be submitted to the system so that they know that they've been paid. Once they've been paid, you can go over here, collections paid. You can actually run the report to see what they got paid on. So it's a good balancing system. One of the things that we do allow you to do with the client portal is you may want to limit the amount of information that your clients can see, or you may only want certain things. So you can actually tell us which fields and which reports you want available. So let's say, for example, you don't want to have this paid button here. It's something that you don't want them to see. We can actually take this out and it won't appear on any portal. Now, the one thing you have to understand is that whatever request you make for one client, it applies to all of them. So you have to think of this more globally, but we know that some of you just want them to say a snapshot of what they've collected. Some of you want to allow more, and you can do that with the system. The next thing that's going to go is post client payment. So by clicking on that, okay, so let's go to post client payment, click client payment. This portal allows your client to come in and either put an account number, which is generated by the system, or they could put an original account number and search for it. What it allows you to do when I click searches, it'll bring up this account number, first name, last name. You can see the current balance. And let's say they got a payment at their facility, meaning someone sent it to them directly. They could come in here and say, okay, we received a check for $125. See that office. I hit submit, and this $125 transaction will now go through the system, and it'll be reflected in all the reports. So now on this side, when you run a client report, it'll be here for the client to actually run. And then on your system, on the main system, you'll be able to run your own reports and see what payments have been made through the portal. There's a basic reporting, view client reports and all of the different types of things, disputed balance, is it closed, wrong number, any interaction. There's a checks link, so you can review post-dated checks if they wanted to see how they were doing moving forward. There's the same thing for credit cards. I can review post-dated credit cards. I can run a collections report, a debtor report. So if they wanted to actually come in and add a debtor, they could come in here. They see a listing of all the portfolios that they have with you, and they can simply put in first name, last name, all the information about them, the current balance, and that gets submitted into the system and added. One of the other things that we have, which is kind of interesting, is the import tool. When I click on that, I go to dynamic import, and you'll notice something here. When I come here, I can select client, which you can only select the client that they are, and I can create a portfolio. I can put the contingency markdown, and it gives you a way to give your clients some autonomy to update the system without having to email it. It also is a much more secure way. Rather than having them email you accounts, they can come here, this portal's secure, everything is crypted, and nothing will be left in an email. So social security numbers, PII types of information will all be preserved. One of the things I'd like to draw your attention to is if you look down here, select mapping. If you remember on our import tool, and if you haven't seen it yet, please watch the video called Import and Manage Accounts. You can create a specific import for a specific client. So if your client sends you maybe 4 or 5 different formats, once you put them into the system, those formats are remembered forever, and you can use them when those particular accounts. So if you have a certain import for credit cards or payday loans or mortgages, you can create a single format that recognizes those and allows you to update. One of the things that we did in the system is that when you create a format for a particular client, that client system then sees those same upload functionality. So it's a very good system. So once they send you a format, you can program it and you can say, hey, listen, you don't need to email me anymore, or you shouldn't email it anymore. Please go to the portal and simply allow them to see what's going on and upload a system. I'm going to go back to the top and I'm going to click on this house icon. I click on house, very similar to what you have in your supervisor side and remote access side. Okay, and here's our dashboard. You can see the information, purchase client, the information about this particular client. We can also put their logo here, but this gives you a snapshot. Now, this snapshot is identical in most ways to the dashboard on the manager system. However, on the manager system, it's done across all your clients. When you go into a specific client, it's done by portfolio. You can see a number of different portfolios here. You can see the total amount of accounts that are in the system. You can see the value of the portfolio. You can see the dollar amount that's collected in total. You can see the dollar collected for this month. And then you can see checks and credit cards that have to be processed for the remainder of the month. So think of this as post dates for the account, but only through the current month. If I go up here, I can see that this post-dated checks in the system of $847.59 that needs to be processed. If you look right here, that number matches up with this number. Total collection for today is 0. Post-dated credit cards this month, $592.62, same as right here, and that is just for the remainder of this month. And the total collection this month is 1637, and the amount of that is due the client is $487.44. So the client can at any time log into the system, get a nice little snapshot of how you're doing as an organization. They can interact with it, and they can see what's going on. If I click on the portfolio link, you can see that I get a snapshot of those particular accounts in the system. If I click on dollar amount over here, I can click on that, and I'll see all the payments, what the frequency is. The frequency meaning that they only made one payment and there's no future payments. If there were more, it would say 2, 3, up to 20. But you can see what's going on. You get a nice overview that you can share with your clients so they see, how productive you're being with them. Okay, now we're back at the dashboard, and you can see the dashboard again. Hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching this video. Each video is designed to give you an in-depth overview of every single component of the system. My goal is to make you a blue water CRM expert. Thank you for watching.